Acid burns and attacks are a form of gender-based violence prohibited under the international human rights law. Such attacks involve throwing, spraying, pouring acid or hot liquids onto a victim's face or body with the intention of causing physical harm, permanent damage, and psychological torture. Acid burns and violence causes disfigurement, pains and long-lasting medical complications, destroys one's self-esteem, increases dependency, and in worst-case scenarios, leads to death of the victims. According to the Acid Survivors Foundation Uganda Situation Analysis Report of 2011, 382 acid attack cases were reported between 1985 to 2011, with over 60% of those being women, 36% being youth and children, and 4% being men. Since 2011, there has been an increase in acid and burn violence cases, and according to statistical data from Hope Care Rescue Mission HOCRAM, between 2017 to 2019, over 400 people were burnt intentionally, an indication of rising burns violence.
Ebyantuukako bawange yanjira acid. Omwami wange teyali musiraamu, naye ngaffe tuli basiraamu. Bazadde bange tebamwagala. Nesalawo okumuleka.
I was burnt in 2007. It was the father of my kid, my firstborn. He's the one who passed on to me.
Yafuna obusungu ate nga nze nali mukyala mukulu naye nanjiira acid.
Waliwo omulenzi yali ankwana ne mugaana nanjiira.
Mukyala wange yanjiira acid ngona mukyawa 2016 ogw'ekumi nga lumu yanjira acid yansanga nva kulaba mupiira.
After an attack, finding immediate health attention is a big problem for most victims. Treating burns takes several months or years, and survivors have to bear with the resulting economic burden.
In Rubaga, what they did is to give me painkiller because I was in the deep pain. Then they told us in the morning that they don't know how to treat acid there, so they transferred it to Mulago.
Embera yali mbi nga si nnyangu. Namalayo emyezi egiwera 8 ne basooka ne banziza ewaka, waka ne malayo wiiki 2 ne banzizayo mu ddwaliro. Awo namalayo n'omwaka mu ddwaliro. Kubanga nali nyina kino nga bakyokya nnyo eggumba ly'omu maaso nga lyakulongoosa.
They took me to theater. They peeled my skin. And after that, they started injecting me, dressing me, like that.
Some survivors often break down whenever they are asked to narrate their ordeals. They cry for their disfigured bodies and inability to feed their children.
Ndi muzadde, ndi single mother, nina abaana. Abana.
Because of the severity of most acid attacks, survivors become blind, face segregation in job markets, their families and communities, leading to the depression and desolation.
The day I decided to move, like not in the car, I decided to move because I was like, let me get this out of me. I decided to move. I passed a boda stage and one of the guys called his friends and was like, come and see this lady. Wabula Chisipa Aruma. Chisipi is when you have like AIDS, the wounds that you get maybe on one side of the face and what. So I got so depressed again. I remember I went back home and I locked myself in the room again and all the memories became fresh and I started crying again.
Where I live, they got used. But whenever you go somewhere new, they have to stay here. They have sometimes the brave ones comes and ask, what happened, what's wrong with, was it accident? Others they sympathize with you, others they feel it something funny, others they discriminate, so like that.
Natuuka ekiseera kubanga enganze ng'emmotoka njitya kuba nali nninye ku mmotoka abamu ne bagamba tumufiire bonna ne bagivaamu ne ngamba sigenda kulemesa musajja kola nze ne ngivaamu nenzira ebbali ne ntandika okukaaba.
At the beginning, my children would not afford to look at me. When they look at me, they turn their faces the other side and start crying. My children are traumatized up to tomorrow.
Mira ngolumizibwa tolo maso tegalaba abantu ne bakushawa oliwita era bagwayi asidi era bagwayi egamba novera nga atali muntu.
ACID remains unregulated, leaving government, human rights bodies and the civil society with no straightforward mechanisms such as police and tough laws to deal with the cases of ACID violence. Where perpetrators are apprehended, loopholes in the systems have failed most cases. Some survivors decry foul play by corrupt police officers who are bribed to release the perpetrators of ACID attacks.
Nagenda ku poliisi, byambeera bizibu nnyo. Bona lisina nga bonna kubanga bakomawo enkya, komawo enkya nga sina transport ate nga ndi mulwadde.
Poliisi yabeera n'omusibe oba wiiki emu n'emusindika ekawuga emukono. Namala ne bamwemira n'avaayo. Negufa. Nalaba nga binsumbye twagendako mu kkooti emukono. Naye nendaba nga sente zigenda tebikutuuka ngeraba okimanyi nga siina nteekamu sente zigenda ate nga sizirina ate nali nkyalumizibwa.
Yajja mu ddwaliro bba wange poliisi ye Nazigo yamukwatira yakwatagana neye Naggalama ne bamukwata naye bamusibayo weeks 2 ne baga nti amenye komera n'akola ki n'adduka era paka olwaleero.
I remember after Mulago, it was just like a month, I was still having my wounds all over me. Then the police called me. They told us that they had already got the culprit. I had to sit there for an entire day, as they have told me that they have gone to bring the suspect. Eventually they came back later. They told me that there was a certain lady who made that person to run away. And they advised me that if they want me to pursue that person, I have to pay them at least 60,000 shillings a week so that they can keep on tracking that particular person.
Further still, survivors blame the courts for letting the suspects off the hook in exchange for money.
Then when you go to the court, the magistrate do not care whether this person is, his case is huge or big or what. What they care about is, can he give me my envelope? Immediately the envelope is given, whether the guy has a crime like what, whether even the evidence is very clear. Because these people have they have the files before them. They read this file through before they even see the victims. When this guy even saw me, he couldn't sympathize. A woman without nose, a woman without lips, a woman without an ear, a woman who is not seeing, and she's a mother of 3, then a magistrate gives bail to such a person because they have given you 10 million or 5 million shillings.
Obutafuna bwenkanya kiva ku bantu abatuyira asidi. Teri muntu ayira asidi nga mwavu babeera balina ssente zaabwe. So gwe balidde asidi oluusi obeera tolina ki ssente. Ate nga obusente bwolinawo bwagenda mu ddwaliro. Kati bo bawaayo ssente eri bw'ogenda otuukayo oluusi bayinza n'okugamba nti gwe tuve mu maaso tusumbwa ebintu bye biwanvu tojja kutusumba. Gano otafuna bwenkanya.
In order to give hope, HOCROM conducts counseling and mobilizes support in form of relief for ACID survivors and encourages them to take up self-help projects. Other initiatives include socio-economic empowerment programs such as training in crafts making, tailoring and financial support, which is aimed at making ACID survivors self-reliant. During court hearings, HOCROM sources for pro bono legal services to enable survivors receive fair treatment in courts.
They provide with us at least small loans, the skilling survivors to start their own businesses, which is very important.
Era nfunye mune ennyumba eneyimbire ku kibiina ekyo. Nzija ne bampola nenfunayo akasente, nenzija ne ntambuza enju yange. Ne nnyongerako omulimu gwange.
nensobola okuba nga neetuusaako ekyokulya.
The first thing that Okram did for me was organizing other victims to appear in court to give pressure. When they saw people with burnt faces, people with funny nostrils, the whole Nakawa court was, at a standstill. They were like, what is this? That was number one thing that Okram did. 2, Okram gives us opportunity to interact with other victims. We share among ourselves.
With no clear law to regulate acid trade, coupled with inadequate sensitization on the dangers of acids, a lot needs to be done to avert rising cases of acid and burns violence. Acid survivors are asking for proper regulation of acid markets to curb its misuse.
Somebody can access acid whatever anytime you want, and the government has not come out strongly to enforce that acid. Actually, to even sensitize the public that acid is very dangerous, most especially to human beings, because most people now are using acid to revenge.
Government kyenyinza okugisaba nti eteeke kakali nga weeritadde ku mmundu, kuba kiba kizibu okusanga muntu kinoomu ng'alina emmundu. Eteeke kakali kuba ku acids aleme kufuluma kusaasaanira mu bantu kuba wa bulabe.
Some believe that tough punitive measures will help deter the would-be perpetrators of acid attacks.
This bail here, it is good if somebody is really innocent or if it is not a grave matter. But if somebody wanted to kill someone and somebody has survived narrowly, again you give them bail, bail, they go and finish them up. Now, time reaches for the court to go through. The court drags for 3-4 years. After 4 years, you think you're going to get the justice you want?
Abantu abo singa gavumenti ebakwata nebasibiramu ddala ebbanga eriwera. Emyaka nga 10, munamanya gundi bamusiba emyaka 10 naye ati wadalooza ekikola yalitidde.
The need for a survivors center to support training and counseling, as well as marketing of the different artifacts made by the acid survivors, is another key issue different survivors want addressed.
If we had a center which could look after people like us and say, okay, Judith, what can you do? Then you're like, for me, I had a business, but I still have the capacity. I think I can run that business. Then maybe they give you a loan. Just like loans are being given to what? To other disabled. Secondly, the other point that has always been paining me, I am blind, but I'm trying to do business. But I must pay taxes. Is there something that the government can do about the disabled issues pertaining taxes? If I don't have money enough to feed my children, how do I pay tax?
If these people would come together and be in a survivors center where we can get some days where we can maybe say, awareness day is for counseling, and these people will come and get the counseling, it would be a big deal. It can become a market for these survivors where they can sell their products.
Okram believes that the government of Uganda needs to pass a specific law on acid attacks with clear criminal remedies and procedures, and come up with clear regulation and policies on the use and accessibility of acid, pass a no-bail policy for the perpetrators of acid attacks, and empower acid survivors through the establishment of a survivors center to act as a meeting point for psychosocial and economic support.